Hey guys, this video segment here is just a quick segment to sort of show you the action of today. Today is June the 25th. It's a Thursday, and this is just a prelude here to my 0 day to expiration trade that I'm going to be showing you here tomorrow on Friday on the 26th. I want to show you kind of my activity for today. You can see it was a really busy day, showing 80 of 80 rows. So 80 transactions today. That's a pretty typical day for me when it's not a 0 day to expiration day, trade day. I'll do maybe 80 to 100 trades in a day. You can see right in about 13,000. 13.4 was the profit on the day, and spent about 1,400 in commissions. So, about a $12,000 day. Not a bad day if you look at it, but yeah, lots of activity throughout the day. And this is what I wanted to show you guys. So a lot of you guys complain about your time zones that you're trading in, and I don't give you a lot of solace for that, because I pretty much, if you count in my futures and my Forex trading, I rarely take any time off of trading. You can see that I started building these positions last night. So this would have been the 24th here in the evening around 5 p.m. when the futures opened back up, and spent most of the evening building positions in the NASDAQ. This is the NASDAQ futures right here. And I built that all the way up until almost midnight. And so that was my evening session, getting those positions ready. Started again in the next morning here. And did some shop, did some Amazon, did some Roku, did a bunch of different things here. But the key here is that I did 80 trades throughout the day to get to that total. So a lot of times people will say, man, I love, the ability to be able to go make 3 or 4 grand a day. How awesome would that be? Or in this case, it was a great day, $13,000 in a day. And again, this is off of about, this is about $160,000 count, I guess, right now. It fluctuates, obviously, but it's about 160 right now. But the key thing that you have to keep in mind is you can't have anything else going on, because I traded pretty much, again, from 4 or 5 in the evening last night up until midnight of last night. Started at the crack of this morning here with the market opening up, and traded up until the last hour. The last hour I ended up taking some of these positions off here. And I don't usually trade in the last half hour of the trading day. But it was a full day event. And so if you got a day job or you got something else going on. But I did want to sort of show you that in anticipation here of branching into our Friday 0 day to expiration trade. And just maybe show you the power of adjusting. Probably had these 80 trades. I probably had 10 of them that were losers, and either closed them out, took a loss, or adjusted them into a different trade of some kind, and still ended up, nice on the day, about 12 grand up on the day. Okay, today is Friday, June 26, 2020. It's about 15 minutes or so before the market opens up, and I'm looking for a pretty good pop here at the open. Not in the market. The market is pretty flat right now. If you look at the S&P minis, NASDAQ futures, down a little bit, but really kind of just flat, and doesn't look like there's a lot of movement here that we're going to see at the open. But there should be a nice pop for me, and I just wanted to go through these positions here, because before I start my 0 day to expiration trade today, I've got these positions that I've been putting on yesterday that you saw in the earlier segment here, and we'll see what happens with those. I've got a little remainder here. I've got about 12,000 of capital tied up in the NASDAQ futures, and there's just a little bit. There's $200 of extrinsic value still left in that. Would you tie 12,000 up for 200 in a day? I may just leave those. That might be a good trade to leave on. We'll see how the market develops. But the ones that I'm really interested in, I've got Amazon, and there's $600 of extrinsic value there. This is expiring. This is an iron condor that I put on yesterday, and so it's just a 1 day iron condor.
and had a nice day with that yesterday. Still got about $600 of potential there in that today. Right now, that's looking like a solid open, so that should pop to the green here when the market opens up. Roku, little position there, 5,000 there with $200 of extrinsic value. I had a good day with that yesterday as well. That should pop as well. That's looking about same price as it was on yesterday's close. But the two big ones right here are Shopify and Tesla. So you can see these are bigger trades, 86,000, 46,000. But look at that, almost $4,000 of extrinsic value, $3,600 of extrinsic value. So the Shopify one, I had to work around this trade. You can see I've been adding legs all day. Well, I can look at the activity there from, this is yesterday, the 25th. And you can see those of you that say, hey, Scott, you always get better fills than we do. You always get better fills. That is not the case. And this was just a horrendous example. You can see that right there in the morning, about 8:20 in the morning, I put my first trade on. It was a call spread, sold the 940s, bought the 980s for $1.80, right? There you go, right here, which is what, about an hour, less than an hour later, it was trading at 262. So I sold it originally for $1.80. Could have gotten probably a way better fill on that. So I did add a little bit to that at 262 to try to lower my cost basis. So, you know, the good and the bad here is that I should capture, I'm hoping $1,000 or $2,000 of that right at the open here. I'm hoping that we get a $1,000 or $2,000 profit pop right at the open on Shop. Bad news is, man, I got a horrible fill. That could have been instead of $4,000 of extrinsic value, I could have $6,000 pretty easily. So maybe gave up a couple $1,000s of profit potential on that. But that's how trading goes. The Tesla one, same thing. Closed at 985, 986. It's about that same price right now, looking pre-market open. And I've got just one iron condor on that. 920s are the puts that I sold, 1020s are the calls that I sold, and we're right in there, $3,600 of extrinsic value. So I'm hoping 1,000 or so of that shows up at the open as well. So I'll probably be clearing these out. Got a little trade here as well. Probably be clearing these out here in that first hour of trading, so that at the 8:30 hour I am prepared and ready to do another 0-day to expiration trade. Okay, 5 minutes into the open, getting a little bit of the movement. I actually thought I would be a little bit better to the upside right at the open here on Tesla, but yeah, up a nice little pop there on the Shopify. Roku has extracted a good portion of the extrinsic value there. Still a lot of extrinsic value here in both Tesla and Shopify. So as long as those hang in there, I'm going to just stick with these here. I'd like to get at least a couple grand out of both of these before I look at closing those out. I do need to obviously get some of that money back if I'm going to do a substantial 0-day to expiration trade today. Okay, starting to flow a little bit better here, 742. So 12 minutes or so into the market, and now we're starting to get what I was hoping for. Down $75 on the NASDAQ minis. Probably going to go ahead and take that profit. Going to go ahead and book that profit. We're up 4 grand or so here at the open. Shopify and Tesla still got a lot of extrinsic in there. Still a lot of strength. Everything here is a 0-day to expiration. So 0-day to expiration, 0-day to expiration, 0-day to expiration, 0-day to expiration, and my Amazon as well. 0-day to expiration. Of course, the NASDAQ futures 0-day to expiration as well. So looking up about 4 grand or so right now at the open. But the biggest extrinsic value is still sitting right here in Shopify and Tesla. Still continuing to work well. I might leave those positions. We'll see. We'll see how much more I can extract from those. About 8:30 is when I would look to start my 0 date expiration trade. So we've got a little bit of time here to still try to suck out a little bit more value out of these. Amazon is, I don't know if I just got a bad feel on that or what. I was up $700 obviously yesterday on it. It's not giving me anything here today. Still $700 of extrinsic value, and it's positioned really well. It's 27.56 right now, which is pretty darn equicenter here on my iron condor, but it's not giving me the profits yet. So we'll still sit on that. 8:12, about 45 minutes into the market, and I dumped the NASDAQ minis, took the profit on that. There just wasn't enough profit left in it to justify sitting in it as the market starts its acceleration here, starts to sell off to the downside. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to be able to free up enough capital here to do a 0 day to expiration trade today. My Amazon trade is being stubborn. It's well positioned there. It's well positioned in its iron condor. I got $12,000 of capital tied up with $400 of remaining profit potential. Would you tie up 12 grand for a $400 profit in one day? Yeah, I probably would sit on that. My Roku trade, it's really well positioned. Got another $168 of profit in that. Would you tie up $5,600 for a $160 profit in a day? Probably, yeah. My Shopify is actually coming down. It's rare to see Shopify down. I'm okay. I'm okay on my positioning here. It's tight. You can see this is just a 57% probability profit. I'm up $2,500 on the trade. Most of that, or all of that rather, came today. Put it on late yesterday. I don't know, 4,600 or 46,000 tied up to make another $1,400. Yeah, I'm going to watch that one really close. That might be where the money comes from to do the 0 date expiration trade. If we get any bigger movements than this, we're going to have to close that one out and book that profit. Right now, it looks okay. Tesla is, I guess, the one that I'm questioning the most right now. It's all right position-wise. It's 975. Sold the 920 puts. Sold the 1020 calls. I got 86 grand tied up in that trade to make another $1,800, $1,700 potential profit. Would you tie up 86 grand to make 1,800? I don't know. I'll tie up 46 grand to make 1,300. I don't know if I want to tie up 86 grand to make 1,800. So we'll let that play out here. We've got a little bit here before we need to make a decision on that. My UVXY trade, didn't really, no action needed there. It's well positioned between my 31 and 42 prices. $1,900 with $170 still left in it. That's an awesome trade. Obviously, let that run its course and hopefully get the remainder there of that value. So it is Tesla and Shopify that my money's going to need to come from to do these trades. We'll let that play out up about, I don't know, up about 5 grand total on the day if you count the NQ trade. So we'll just let this play out for a little bit. Well, 841, the market continuing here to sell off. It's just been dumping all day long, really. We'll see if we can find some support in here. You know, that's the tough thing when you're trying to time your exits on your current positions to free up your capital so that you can go do a trade on another position. It's kind of like buying and selling a house. You know, you got to time the sale of your house with the purchase of your new home so that you're not left homeless and out on the street. And that's not always easy to do. Quite honestly, I had hoped for a little bit bigger pop on both Shopify and Tesla here. You know, up 4 grand cumulatively on those two positions. But I was hoping for maybe a $2,500 or a $3,000 pop right at the open on these. It's working itself that way, but we'll see if the market continues to dump here. I may need to just take my profits on some of these, still well positioned on Amazon. 12,000 tied up to make another 500. If that'll hold, I'm probably going to leave that position. Roku is cool. Yeah, still 140 bucks on a $5,600 investment. Potential there probably doesn't merit messing with. If the market continues to dump, my UVXY position is going to start to get threatened. And man, I'd like to get out of that at a profit. I had a couple $100 profit sitting there. So we'll monitor that, but that's only going to free up 1,900 bucks. So it really is the Shopify and Tesla that I'm working on. I don't know. I think if I could get another $1,000 of profit out of those in the next hour, maybe, as long as the market is continuing to dump here, I'll let it do that. And then we can put in maybe some puts down here on a 0-date expiration. But I only have about an hour left to do that. I don't really like to enter my first position any later than 2 hours into the trading session. So that'd be about 9:30 Mountain Time. So we'll see here in just a little bit. It's about 8:50. I thought I'd show you this little quick exercise, little sort of thumbnail sketch, if you can think of it that way, of making decisions. So this Tesla position, you know, it's doing great, right? It's 74% probability, put up 86 grand, brought in 3,200 in premium. I'm already showing about 1,200 of that in the books. Got another almost 2 grand sitting out there. It's sitting fairly well positioned here. You know, I just got to wait until the close. And I could bring in maybe another 2 grand on that position. So you say, well, is there a better use of that $86,000 in capital? I don't know. If we look at the S&P minis, they're continuing to sell off here. But if I looked at a trade on that and looked at like a 93% probability trade, 90-cent credit on that, for about the same money, about $88,000, I'd bring in $2,400. So very close, 89,000 bringing in 2,400 versus 86,000 bringing in 2,300. It doesn't really make a lot of sense right now for me to do a 0-date expiration trade, since these are still performing well and they still have a lot of extrinsic value in them. It's about 9:25 Mountain Time now, and probably time to make a move. We got a little bottom here in the markets from this massive sell-off that we had this morning, a little bit of a rebound, and now we're retracing. And so the question right now is this a resistance level, or rather a support level that we found? Is the market going to hold this, and can we now feel comfortable putting some puts in here, or is this just the pause that refreshes and we're getting ready for another down leg here? But I think that either way, we're pretty close to being able to put a trade in place. And the trade, you know, it makes sense if I am just looking at a put leg here of about $88,000. It could bring in about $3,000 in profit. And that's about what I've got tied up here in my Tesla trade, is about 88,000. It's actually 86, but there's only $1,000 of profit left in that. I'm up about 6 grand total now on the day, if you count in the NQ trade earlier. And so I'm probably going to go ahead. And my Amazon trade, probably going to leave that. Pretty well centered there. Got $300 of profit left in it on a $12,000 trade. I'll take that. My Roku trade, probably the same deal, $5,600 to get me another $56 here. That's well positioned as well. My UVXY trade, unless again the market just absolutely falls out of bed. If it absolutely starts crashing again, probably need to cash that in and get out of it. But right now, that looks really, really solid. $300 of potential extrinsic value sitting out there for a $1,900 investment. So I'm going to leave that alone as well. So I'm going to go ahead and just close out my Tesla and my Shopify trade. That should give me, well, you know, my $125,000 that I usually use on this trade to go back in and do a single date expiration. Okay, here we go. I cleared out most of those positions here, cleared out my Amazon, left a couple of the puts here on the Shopify. There's $75 of extrinsic value still left in them, 3,000 capital tied up to get that. it cost me another 35 bucks to just get out of the darn thing. So for, you know, $100 cost, it doesn't make sense to liquidate that when I should have a $75 profit at the end of the day. Freed up most of my buying power anyway. But we're looking at the SPX here, and I don't know. I don't know if we found a bottom here or not, but it does seem to be sort of minimizing the pressure to the downside. So we're going to look at putting the put leg in place right now. Looking at the 29.75 sells by the 29.50. So what's that? 25 bucks spread on that. That seems to be the sweet spot on the spread. Usually it is a little wider than that, but that's okay. It's about $100,000 trade, bringing in about $3,000 in profit. I don't know if we're going to get that 75. It was 75 cents just a second ago. Nap price is selling 65. I think we could definitely get, well, now we should be able to get 75. I don't know. We'll just start it at the 85. That'd bring in 3,400 bucks. And like I imagined, it's probably going to drop on us here. We might be able to get 80. Heck, I don't know. Let's give it a shot at 80. Nap price is really bouncing around a lot. I might let that just sit here for a second. We're a little ways off. Probably should go ahead and just adjust that. I'm going to replace that at 75, and I will let it sit here. Yeah, we filled at 80 cents. So that's a nice trade. We should be already looking pretty sharp. Yeah, right there. There's our SPX trade. Brought in about 3,300 bucks on that trade. So that makes sense. I'm going to let this sit here for maybe another half hour until the 10 o'clock time, and then see what I want to do on the call leg of that. One thing that you've noticed when you do these really, really big spread trades like this, number one, they're expensive. There's a lot of cost involved in the spread itself. Number two, you almost always start off in the hole. I think a couple of trades in our previous video you saw I started off $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 in the hole. You got to understand that going in, that with those spreads and the leverage and the amount of money that you're throwing at that's going to happen, but that it should work its way out throughout the day. We've got still $3,700 of theta there working. So I'll come back here about the 10 o'clock hour, and we'll see what we want to do on the call side on. Okay, we're at the top of the hour now. It's about 10 o'clock, 9:59 to be exact, and we were able to hit that bottom there on those puts on the SPX so far, just about gosh darn perfect. So that hopefully is the bottom. It would be really, really nice. Profits starting to flow in now on those SPX puts, on that put spread. It would be really, really nice if I didn't have to go in and do any adjustments or alterations to that put leg. Still got about $1,400 of profit sitting in that trade. So up about 8,500 or so now on the day. Obviously, a lot of that is not booked yet. A lot of that is just paper profits. I haven't booked it yet. But we need to put the call leg in here. And so we are seeing a little bit of strength here coming back into this. I would love, this is kind of what I'm looking at here. It's a little tight. That's a 7 delta. Generally want to do about a 5 delta. So I'm pushing it a little bit here on this side. And so I'm going to let this play out a little bit here. We are seeing a little bit of strength coming back into the market here. And I'm going to be patient with that and let that play itself out. Boy, just got a big dump right there down to 60. I would love to be able to sell this call leg for 70 cents or better. 70 cents or better if I could get. I mean, it bounced. It hit 75. It hit 70 on the NAV, which I think I could have gotten 75 on a field price. That would have been amazing. But even at the 60 level, that'd be 2,500 bucks profit on the call side. But I'm going to let this play out. I'm going to be a little patient here for the next 15 minutes or so and let this play out. I want to see if we can build a little bit of strength in here. I only need about 5 handles. I only need about 5 points move on the SPX. If I could get this down just 45, I think I would be well above my 70 cent credit, target credit here. In fact, you know what?
I'm just going to put in my 70-cent order right now and send that. That would be 2,700 bucks. That I would be bringing in on that. I'm just going to send it, and if it hits, it hits. If it doesn't, we'll have to come back and adjust that. Order's still working there. It's down, showing at 50-cent credit now. We're quite a ways away. Market's down 53, and I need, well, 55 on the SPX, and I need it to be down about 48, probably, for that to fill. I did go ahead and fill out my iron condor on my Shopify position here. Had those 3 little contracts still sitting out there on the put side. Might as well maximize that and put in some calls over here. And brought in about $100 or so, $90 or something on that. So that rounds that trade out. And just waiting here on the market patiently to see if we can get a little bit of a bounce. It needs to be up here, maybe around 30, 40 would probably give me that fill that I'm looking for at 70 cents. It's working right now at about 47. 1021, market is continuing to sell off here. We're back down to the lows of the day. And so obviously we're nowhere close on getting our call leg filled at my price of 70 cents. We're at 30 cents now. But also you'll see that we're trending negative on the puts that we sold to. So the question is, do you think this level is going to hold? I do think that it probably will. So I'm going to go ahead and look at maybe just adding a little bit. I got into that initial put leg. Where is that put leg? Right here. I got into that initial put leg at an 80-cent credit. And you can see that it's now trading around $1. And so I'm going to throw a couple more legs on there. Another 7,200 bucks would bring in $300. And load up on that a little bit more. And we'll work on that call leg here in just a moment. It's about 10:47. We're back down here at the lows of the day. Really weak on the day, but not a lot of volume, not a lot of veracity with this move to the downside. But we are at, as I said, 10:47. My market closes my time 2 p.m. and I want to be done with my trades usually about 1:30 p.m. So we probably need to just start putting some call legs in here. Got the put leg in here. I feel okay still about that. 29.75 is the bottom leg on that, and we're at 30.20 right now. Obviously see if the sell-off accelerates or not. But I probably need to start balancing that a little bit with adding some call legs, regardless of the fact that I'm not going to get this juicy 70-cent credit here on this trade that I had anticipated. And so I'm going to go ahead and just cancel out that trade and come in here and look at putting in some call legs. So this is what I'm looking at here. There's a couple of things. Obviously, we need to get this much more delta neutral than it is. Obviously, very directional at this point where we just have puts in. We want it to go up, right? And so we need to get that a little bit more balanced in terms of what we're looking at doing. Got 45 contracts here on the put side. I'm going to look at just adding 24 contracts here on the call side. And just to balance that out, it'd bring in some nice premium. Obviously, it actually increases my buying power because we're just balancing off some of the puts that we have. So this is always nice when you can do a trade that is an offsetting trade that increases your buying power. That's reducing your risk in the trade because obviously you're balancing out the risk of whatever trade it is that you're balancing against. So we'll see what we can get here price-wise. That'd be about $1,900 if we could get that filled. Looks like we're a little off on our pricing. I'll try 80. Nat price is showing 70 cents right now. It's always dropping. Every time you put in an order, it drops. Let's try 70 cents. That'd be $1,500. Okay, so that balances the trade a little bit. Still gives me the ability to throw some stuff there at that. But now we've got about 48. We got almost $5,000.
of extrinsic value still sitting in that trade. That would be awesome, again, if this would hold. We're almost at the 11 o'clock hour, 2.5 hours or so trading left for me in the day. So we'll let that sit for just a moment here, and we'll just watch this. We'll see if we can get a rebound, if it stays the same, or if it drops. We've got flexibility. We've got stuff to do. I'm going to really load up on selling more calls. If it starts to drop down, if it stays the same, I'm going to add a few more calls. And if it shoots back up again, we'll add to the put side. So we're in a good position here. We've got a little bit of dry powder left. We'll just watch this going forward. Just checking in here. It's 11 o'clock, and obviously the big trade is the SPX trade. Everything else is kind of winding down now. It all looks pretty darn solid. See what my call legs on this are. 940. I think we're okay on all of these trades, which is nice. You know, 130, maybe 160 there. So $300, $400. There's $400 right in there of extrinsic value that hopefully I can capture by the end of the day. SPX trade is obviously the big one. Bouncing back here a little bit. It's just kind of vacillating down here at this level. So again, it looks like to me the sell-off has ended. I really probably shouldn't do a trade and any additional trades on this past the 11:30 hour. You just start to lose any potential premium that you can get in that. If we do look at my position right now, you can see that push, you know, not quite equidistant here. I'm okay with everything that I see right now on this chart. I'm a long ways away from my heavy leg, which is my put leg. I am closer to my call leg than my put leg, but we are in a down day, so the pressure is to the downside. Doesn't mean the market can't come roaring back up above this, but probabilities would state that pressure is down, not up right now. So I'm okay with that. And then in addition to that, I've done fewer contracts up here, so you can see that the risk has been mitigated a little bit here on the downside as well versus the risk that I'm taking down here. So fairly well positioned here in that trade, up a little bit right now. That obviously has been bouncing around today. $4,500 of extrinsic still left in there. This could potentially be, guys. I mean, you know, hours away. It is a game of inches because we're hours away. Up about $8,000 on the day right now, and then obviously another 4,500 or so, 5,000 of potential just sitting there, a few hours away. It is interesting when you trade. One of the things that I love about trading, this is just a side note, guys. I'm not good at anything else in life. I don't really have any marketable skill sets as a way to go out and earn a living for my family. And when I say a living, I'm not talking about going and getting a wage anymore, because that would not support my lifestyle. It certainly would not support my family. I don't know, you know, there's $5,000 of potential profit sitting here. We're at 11, and the market closes in 3 hours. Where can you make $5,000 in 3 hours? I don't have the skill set to go do any job anywhere of any kind that can make me that kind of money. So I'm stuck with trading. I don't have a choice. I have to trade for a living. I do not have a choice because I cannot do anything else that would make any type of measurable dent in my my budget as I see it today. So we'll see here. Again, just kind of vacillating down here at this 3,000 level, trying to hold that 3,000 level, right? That's the big psychological level in the marketplace. So it does seem like we're holding that fairly well. I do have a little bit of dry powder left, maybe $20,000 or so that I can add into this trade. So I might bolster the put leg. I might add some more calls up in here, but we'll probably be doing that at the 11:30 hour. And then that will be my probably last trade of the day. Anything else that I will do throughout the rest of the trading day will just be taking positions off and either defending profits or booking profits. So 11:10, I've got about, as I said, about a $150,000 trading account, this particular one that I'm in right now. I do trade in about a half a dozen different accounts, but this is generally my 0 day to expiration account. That's kind of how I do my accounting. I change up my trades or strategies depending on which account it's in. That kind of just keeps it straight in my mind. But this is generally about a $160,000 account. I like to keep about 25,000 of that as dry powder. And so I've got maybe 12, maybe 10 to 15,000, somewhere in that range of buying power left that I could do something with in this account. It does feel to me like we have found maybe a little bit of a bottom here in the marketplace. And so I'm going to just work on adjusting, or I guess you should say enhancing this trade just a little bit here. I'm going to add some more positions here to my put leg and try to bolster that a little bit. You can see here, these are where I'm at right now with my put leg. I'm going to come up here a little bit on that and maybe sell that, maybe sell $12,000 of that. That would bring in about $400, and it would sort of just alter that curve a little bit, just adjust that curve down. In fact, I might even look at the 29.95s and the 29.70s. I think that might give us a little bit better bang for my buck, and pump that up. That's 14,000. I don't want to go that heavy. Let's go 5 contracts. That's $12,000, $500 bringing in on that trade. Yeah, let's give that a shot. I'm close on that trade. Probably should just let that one sit here, but I do want to get a feel. I'm running out of trading time in the day. Okay, I got it at 105. So that gives me, again, if we look at the curve here, we're starting to add some additional legs there to that put side. A little bit more equidistant in that trade. And again, I like the risk in balance here of the majority of the risk is to the downside versus the upside. So we're close on that call leg. I might have the ability here from a buying power standpoint now. We're really overweight on the put side versus the call side. If you look at our positions here, I've got on the puts, you can see those. I've got 45 contracts in this leg, and I got 5 contracts in this leg. So 50 contracts down here on the bottom, only 24 contracts on the call side. So I've got a lot of buying power that I can work with on this top leg here still. So if we can get a little bit of a rebound here, again, I got until about the 11:30 hour to put in some additional calls in here and maybe bring in some extra income. All right, it's 11:22. I've got about 2 hours left in my trading session here, and we're just still sitting here down about 50 handles on the SPX, and that's fine. This is an awesome trading day action-wise. I am not thrilled with the fact that I'm closer to the call leg. Now, I don't believe that you're going to have a lot of traders want to stay long this market going into this weekend. So I don't know that you're going to see a massive ramp back up here in the last few hours of trading, but it's always possible. It is always possible. And we're showing a lot of strength down in here. We've been bottoming for quite some time here now, several hours. And so I would really prefer to be a little bit more equidistant in this trade. Now, one of the things that I'm looking at doing here, if I just back all of this off, this is kind of where we're at right now, position-wise in the trade. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add some calls here to this leg simply because I can. Because I have the buying power to do that. And that's going to move some things around here just a little bit. Let's back that off. I don't want to mess with my buying power too much here. 37, 36, 5. I really don't want to spend a whole lot of money to do this trade. That's okay. So this actually increases my buying power here. I'll probably get something like 45 cents on that. That would bring in about $1,400. I'm going to take some of that. I'm going to take maybe $400 or $500 of this, and I'm going to use it as a hedge. So let's see if we can get that or not. That'd give me $1,400 bucks. Boom, there you go. I got $1,400 on that trade. This is where we're sitting right now. In anticipation of this maybe ramping up a little bit here, I'm going to come in here. I'm going to take some of that $1,400 that I just brought in, and I'm going to buy one of these right here for $600. I'm going to buy one of these calls. That's mid price is $570. See if I can get that filled. I'm going to go purchase that as a hedge, as insurance protection. There you go. So now I own that. So it cost me $570, but I took it out of the whatever that was, $1,400 or $1,500 that I just brought in. So now you see I got a little bit of a ramp there to help me. We can, if we open this up a little bit, you can see that maybe a little bit better. Now you see how that kind of ramps right there. So here we are. There we go. A little bit easier to see that now. That's the call that I just purchased there. Hey, I'm willing to throw away $500 or $600 on that insurance protection because I just brought in whatever it was, $1,500 to pay for that. Okay, so here we are. This is probably, never say never, but it's probably my last trade of the day as we approach the 11:30 hour. We'll see how this plays out. Really, the ideal situation would be that the only trades continuing for the rest of the day would just be taking off and booking some of these profits. 12:30 my time, about an hour left for me trading today, and we're coming down again. You kind of look at this flow, and it's just been ebb and flow here most of the day with this 30.17 level, which is basically where we're at right now. We're right back down here at these lows of the day, where we've sort of been ebbing and flowing. If you look at the risk graph, we're really well positioned. We've done a good job. I have had to do some adding and subtracting and some adjusting here with this trade today, but not a whole bunch. Really, it has not been an incredibly active day today. But we are continuing to come down here. We obviously, one of the things, with trading, it's so easy. It is so easy to get caught up in the greed of trading. And we're showing about 3,000. I think I'm up about 12,000 total. If you add in the NQ trade from earlier today, we're up about 3,000 total. Obviously, the majority of that, all of that really here, except for a couple $1,000s on that NQ trade, are paper profits. I haven't booked these profits yet. So they're there, they show up, right? But it's not actual cash until you close out the trade. And so it's really easy to get greedy with these trades. You don't want to give up this profit. You don't want to give up a $3,000 profit just because you've got another $3,000 of potential profit sitting out there, right? That would be an absolute travesty. The only thing worse than losing money, you lose money on trades all the time. I lose money in trades every single day. It's just overhead. It's the cost of my business as a trader. It's part of trading. I don't care if I lose 10,000 in a day. If you make 30,000, right? 20,000 a day net profit, still pretty darn good day. It's not about taking losses. Even as bad as that sounds, to take a loss, as bad as that is, the only thing that's really worse than taking that loss is letting a profit slip away from you. And so we're going to watch this here. It does seem to be accelerating a little bit here to the downside. And so if we look at it, again, I'm pretty close there. If this was to hit down 70 points, I'm going to start working on this downside. I'm going to remove this trade right there, that hedge. Is there any value still left in that hedge? Let's take a look at it. There's the hedge right there. If I close that, yeah, there's still a little value. I could still get a couple $100 out of that thing if I sold it right now. And it doesn't look like I'm going to need it. So we're going to watch this closely here if we do continue to get this sell-off. And again, I'm probably looking at maybe something down around 70, maybe 72. If we got down 72 handles on the SPX here, I would probably start pulling this initial put leg off right here and start booking some of these profits. But I do have just about an hour left in my trading day. It, of course, would be nice to book a good percentage of this profit. But as I said earlier, my capture rate historically is about 40 to 60%. So, if you got $7,000 of premium that you brought in a day, I'm generally pretty happy to get 3,500 of that, to actually book that. That's just kind of how my numbers work out. So we'll continue to watch this. It does seem to be accelerating to the downside here, and we might have to pull some of those put legs off. Still really weak. It's 12:38 right now, down at the all-time lows for the day now, and we don't really need this hedge that I purchased right in here anymore. At least I don't believe that we do. I'm going to try to just get whatever value out of that darn thing that I can. And so I'm going to come in here. Where's my positions? There we go. There's the hedge right there. I'm going to go ahead and close that out. Just grab whatever remainder. Yeah, I'll get 150 bucks back on that, or somewhere in that range. There we go. So just going to get that back out here. And then again, depending on where we go here, if we dip to low to that 72, so we're really, really close right now. We're really, really close on needing to do something on our put side of this. If it hits that 72, which we're really close to, I'm either going to buy a hedge for the downside or remove some of the put legs. I'm going to try to balance this trade out just a titch here. Going into the close here by adding another call leg up in here, and just you can see kind of what it's doing there with the risk graph. I don't want to go that heavy. Probably around, yeah, 5 grand is what I commit to that. Bring in a little extra income on the call side. Bring that down to the 115, see if I can get a feel. Okay, so that's balanced me out there just a little bit here, again, as we're coming into the close. Pretty equidistant now, just waiting till that 130 hour. There we go, there's our trigger. We're down 72 handles on the SPX. And so I'm going to start closing out some of these put legs. We're going to start with this one, first of all. Do a full exit on that one. I think I paid or got $1.20 for it, and I'll be paying $3+ to get out of it. So that's the key with trading and managing risk, is you have to be willing to take those losses. So I'm going to get out on that position there. If we hit 77, down 77, I'm going to have to work on this one right here. I'm looking right now at moving this call leg down. Let's go ahead and close that call leg out. Probably going to have to pay a debit of 10 cents. That'll free up 20 grand right there. If I can get that filled, that should fill. I may need to, you know what, I'm going to have to cancel that order. I'm going to just go ahead, go away. I am going to just go ahead. This is worthless right here. That's why this is having a hard time filling. So I'm just going to close the short leg there. And let's see if I can get that at 15. Close. I might still have to go to 20 on that. That filled. That would free up some money right there. And now I can go ahead and put in an additional call leg into this. Let's go take a look at this and see what this one might do for us. That's juicy. See what we can get on this. This is all increasing my buying power because we are continuing to drop on this. Yeah, it's about $2,000. Okay, let's give this a shot here. Boom, there's $2,000 right there. And let's see now. Let's just take a quick look at where that has put us balance-wise. Oh, that needs to go away. We got our call leg in there. That's those. We still own those. So on the hap chance that the market just absolutely takes off like a rocket ship here, we do have this little kicker that's still in there. It's basically worthless at this point, but that puts us just a little bit more equidistant here. The sell-off is sort of continuing here into the close. So we've had to do some maneuvering here to do this, but I think that puts us pretty well positioned going into the close here. Almost $7,000 of extrinsic value sitting in this trade now. So you cross your fingers at this point and you hope that the next hour doesn't really have a ton of movement from where we're at right here, because there's a lot of potential profit coming in here in the next hour or two. If you look at this trade as it sits right now, we are long delta, and you can see that reflected obviously in the chart that we're closer to the call legs than the put legs. We've removed that one put leg to create a little bit of safety there. I'm going to go ahead and add another put leg in here to try to get us back a little bit to that delta neutral position. I did free up a lot of buying power here by closing out that call leg that we booked a profit on. And so this would bring in about $400 of additional income on that put side. It would also balance out the trade a little bit. I do not want to go down to 25 cents on this, but I may have to. That's still 375 coming in. That was not the best trade in the world. Probably should have been a little bit more patient with that one. But it does balance out the trade. It does give us a little bit better picture here, again, as we're coming into the close. So we're approaching that 1:30 hour, 1 hour left in the trading day. This is usually about the point where I start booking and taking my profits. You can see that my Amazon trade still really well centered there, and it's showing $200 of extrinsic value still. Can obviously let that just expire on its own. Roku trade, I'm not going to pay a commission. I don't even know what that would cost to get out of this, but it is well positioned right now. Probably going to have to do at least a $5, or excuse me, a 5-cent debit. Now, I'm not going to pay 77 bucks to get out of that trade. Again, you know, you got $5,600 tied up in it, but I'm not going to spend $76 if I don't need to here. That's going to take care of itself in the next half hour. Probably going to leave that. My Shopify trade, man, Shopify just cannot stop going up. The thing is just crazy, but we're well positioned there. I don't think in the next half hour I'm going to breach that 940 level, and there's still 80 bucks of potential value there. I'll let that do its thing. And my UVXY trade looking pretty solid going into the close as well. So I'll let that expire. So, you know, that's kind of nice. What, $250 in extra income there. Obviously, the big one is the 0-date expiration SPX trade. And we're looking pretty solid on that right now. Let's just take a quick look at that in the risk graph and see kind of where we want to go with this, what we want to do. Oh, it's a mess here. Let's go ahead and come into our SPX position. There we go. Go into the curve. There's the long call that we still own that is basically worthless, but we do own it. I took that call hedge off. Probably should have left it, but we're pretty well centered right now. I'm up about $12,000 all said and done on the day right now. Got another 2,000 though of potential there on that. And so, you know what? I'm gonna watch this. I'm at about that time that I usually want to close it out. Again, it's always a travesty to just give away $5,000 of profit to try to capture another couple thousands of dollars and do that in the last half hour. The reason that I'm going to do that today is that today I happen to be trading this SPX rather than the E-mini futures. Now, the E-mini futures continue to trade. They do not settle until 15 minutes after the market close. So I've really got 45 minutes of trading still left in the day if I was to trade the E-mini futures, and they can move. They will, and they can move dramatically after the normal market close. Where the SPX, the minute the market closes at 2 p.m. my time, Mountain Time, you're done. Whatever you get is what you get, and it cash settles. So, being that we're pretty well centered right now, and I still got another $2,000 plus there, $2,400 right now showing, of potential profit. I'm going to count down this last half hour of trading. And again, we get a big, massive move. I'll just go ahead and close that leg out. But right now, we're going to probably continue to watch this into the close. It's probably a half hour well spent. Okay. There's the close. Done for the day. You might notice here, I didn't have the time to record this because I just threw this in with like 5 or 6 minutes left in the day. This little short position right here, I just wanted to scalp a little bit extra. That is a naked call position. It is a non-defined risk trade. It is, in my book, the most powerful trading tool that you can ever have. It's also a non-defined risk trade. So it's also the deadliest trade if you don't understand how the risk of this trade incorporates into the bigger picture of your overall trading plan. But I wanted to just show you that trade right there. Sold those naked 320 calls. Well, we can see 6 minutes. 6 minutes before the market closed for 80 cents. So I brought in about almost $400. That was my cost right there, $400. It's still showing a little extrinsic value. That'll settle here after the market close. But brought in an extra $400 there in the last few minutes of trading. That puts me up 14,000 total for the day. And I guess there's a couple of lessons here to take out of these couple of training videos that I've shown you on these 0-day expiration trades. I think on Wednesday, I booked about a $3,400 profit, I believe. Thursday, yesterday was 12,000. Today is about 14,000 profit, 31,000 plus dollars in 3 days. It's not as easy as it looks, guys. I guess that's the first thing that I will say. I would go watch these trading mentors trade, and every time I left one of their trading sessions, I just felt like an idiot. I felt useless. I felt like if I wasn't making $10,000 a day, bare minimum, that I was just wasting my existence as a human being because it looked so easy. Oh, it looked so easy. Guys, if this was easy, everybody you know would do it. No one that we know would have a job. We would all be sitting home on our laptops making 10 grand a day and living the life. But it is, I guess, the difference between simple and easy. Obviously, everything that I've done here is very simple. I think most of you intrinsically understand the buttons that I've been pushing and the steps that I have taken to make this 14 grand today, this 30 plus grand over the last 3 days. But instead of, in terms of understanding the methodology behind that and why I did what I did, that takes so long. It takes so long to get that. And so we're going to spoon feed this to you. We're going to continue to give you more ideas about how to do this, guys. But the real key, again, today, man, market just got hammered, right? Dow down 700 points. Yesterday, market got hammered. Dow down 700+ points. 1,400 point downward move, crash in the marketplace in the last couple of days. You know what? Who cares? I don't care. It makes no never mind to me. And again, it is this concept of being, whatever you're doing in life, you want to be exceptional, right? You want to be a 1%er. There's 1% of our population that is exceptional, whether it's personal, physical, spiritual, mental, or financial. And that is a tough goal to have. But if you desire to be that 1%er, if you desire to be exceptional, you cannot obviously do what the masses do, what the 99%ers do. And so again, when I talk to people and they know that I trade for a living, the question is always, oh, what's the hot stock tip of the day? Or what do you think the market's going to do? And my answer is, I have no idea and I don't really care. And it is that concept of sometimes the more educated you get, the more uneducated you sound to the 99%ers, to the vast majority, because we could really care less what the market does as traders. And when you understand the power of trading adjustments and taking a trade that you know is probably not going to work, but having the confidence that you can fix it along the way and end up with some really nice profits. So guys, we're going to continue to feed this to you. I hope that's been helpful for you, at least to kind of see what I do on a daily basis. We'll continue to get you some more cool stuff as we go forward.